Welcome to part 5 of the ABC of Off-Roading series and greetings from Ladakh. As beautiful as this landscape is, it is harsh and unforgiving, especially in the winters. So do check out the first 4 episodes of our series before watching this episode. Now that you're watching this episode, we are taking the Jimny on a little adventure to one of the highest mountain passes in this region, Wari. And as we drive up the mountain pass, we will give you all the tips and tricks to negotiate the mountain passes of Ladakh or anywhere else in the world as safely as possible. We will also demonstrate how to drive on trails so that you are safe up in these mountain passes. But before we get on this adventure, do like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified for all our video drops. The Himalayas stand as the pinnacle for off-roading enthusiasts in India. This is due to the unparalleled challenge of navigating through this rugged terrain, the combination of harsh landscape, freezing temperatures and thin air. It makes expeditions to these paths the most demanding experiences you can ever undertake. Conquering these passes is like earning a badge of honor that you'll proudly carry with you for the rest of your life. Driving in the Himalayas is on the bucket list of every automotive enthusiast in India. These roads have gotten so much better over the years, but don't underestimate the challenges they pose. One moment you're driving on smooth blacktop and the other you're negotiating some of the trickiest terrain possible. You could get rocks on the road from a recent landslide, so you've got to be attentive when you're driving in the Himalayas. While most of the passes in the Himalayas are now well paved, you will find a lot of trails when you're driving up here, and that's where you need a capable 4x4 like the Jimny. You can see black tarmac one moment and the next day it could be a dirt trail because of all the landslides that happen in the Himalayas. If you spend enough time here, you are going to be negotiating them and you need a capable 4x4. First things first, let's talk about the essentials that you need to carry when you're up in the mountains. Your phone. Download offline maps on your phone. It's going to be useful everywhere you go because they're not going to get network everywhere. Second, carry a thermos. Hot cup of tea or hot water is going to be useful when you're in sub-zero temperatures. A first aid kit, because there's going to be ice and snow everywhere. If you slip, you fall, you need your first aid kit handy. A lighter to light a fire, but high up in the passes, this is not going to work, so carry a matchbox with you. Walkies to communicate with your team. If you have a group of cars, it's the best way to communicate. You're not going to have network, the walkies will help you. But carry long range walkies. A light, a torch, that's essential, especially when you're crossing in the dark and say something happens to your car and you need to fix it. These torches are going to be handy. Also carry a power bank if your car runs out of battery, if you're not running and your phone needs that last bit of juice to communicate with someone, a power bank is going to be handy. Now let's take you to the boot of the Jimny and show you all the off-roading equipment that you need when you're up in the mountains with your 4x4. You've been watching our ABC of off-roading series, so you know all the equipment that you need to carry when you're off-roading. But in the winters, there are a few essential equipment in addition to the sand ladders, the air compressors and the tow ropes, etc. You need to have snow chains. Snow chains are very handy in the winters over here. You can get snow and ice anywhere. In fact, the mountain behind us, it's snowing right now. Another essential equipment is the oxygen tank. Well, it's the air is so thin up here, you can see me panting, so you need this tank over here, especially when you're crossing mountain passes. And of course, don't forget to carry your essential tire fixing equipment. Whenever you get a puncture, you need to fix it right away, and you need to have that in your car. Wari is 17,428 feet above sea level. It's the 13th highest pass in the world, and that's why far fewer tourists take this route. Even in the summer months, it connects Leh to Nubra Valley, but there's a shorter route somewhere else. But this pass is absolutely stunning. The weather though can escalate, can go up to minus 20, minus 25 degrees, even before the mountain is covered in a thick blanket of snow. But that's what makes it fun, doesn't it? The highways around Leh are nice and wide, well paved, but when you're climbing up mountain passes, it's not always the case. It's narrow, sometimes it can be a trail, it may not be a paved road. And if you get a vehicle coming from front of you, you've got to drop two wheels on the side of the curb. It's easier said than done, because in the mountains here, the roads are narrow, and on the other side could be a steep drop. That's where the narrow design of the Jimny shines through. It can easily negotiate a narrow mountain pass, and that makes driving up in the mountains a lot easier than in any other off-roader that you'd pick. You gotta look ahead when you're encountering blind turns, and you know what, toot the horn if you feel it's necessary. Look far ahead and shift to a lower gear, especially when you're on hairpins, so that you can clearly negotiate a long sweeping uphill corner. Always remember that the lack of oxygen at high altitude can have an adverse effect on your brain's ability to process information, which means your reaction times will be slower. Conserve your energy, manage your pace, and do not exert yourself. Giving the car too much throttle in a higher gear can cause the engine to overfuel and stall. Out here, preserving the car is the utmost priority, because if you break down, help will take a while to get to you. When you're driving up in the mountains, it isn't just you who's finding it difficult to breathe, it's your car's engine as well. So keep your engine RPMs over 2000 RPM most of the time to ensure that you can negotiate steep inclines. And the inclines are fairly steep up in the Himalayas. You can shift into a lower gear whenever you feel necessary, instead of cruising at low RPMs trying to save fuel. Up in the mountains, don't focus on saving fuel. It's about driving comfortably and ensuring that you negotiate a steep incline properly. When there is snow and ice on the road, you need a plucky little off-roader like the Jimny to ensure that you negotiate the obstacle quite easily. Ensure that you are with a friend who has a 4x4 with them to pull you out of a tricky situation, just in case you get stuck though. It's advisable not to drive alone in the snow when the weather is changing so drastically. When you're getting down a mountain weather like this, you've got to ensure that you don't use too much of your brakes, don't lock the wheels up. The car comes with ABS, so you won't be locking your wheels, but be gentle on the car and stick it to a higher gear. Use engine braking as much as possible. Right now I'm in first gear instead of second. That ensures I don't have to brake at every turn. It'll go slower with higher RPM, but you'll safely negotiate your drive down the mountain. when you're in these mountain passes, there are trails connecting the long winding road. When you have a 4x4 like the Jimny, you can just stick the transfer case into 4 low and well, lots of grunt, low end torques into all 4 wheels, and you can just cut through a mountain. Short work of a long winding road. Now all you need to do is put it in 4 low and put it in second gear. It will climb up in second gear quite easily. And there you see reaching the top of what? I skipped 4 hairpins. How cool is that? Getting down is even more easier. You put it in first gear, turn hill descent control on, and the car will just negotiate a steep incline like this. When you are driving off-road, when you're getting down a slope, ensure you never depress the clutch. Once you're set in your gear, you just let the car do its thing. Hill descent will take care of all these obstacles, and well, there is shortcut to success when you're off-roading, isn't it? I can see this long winding road in front of me, but I just have to take the shorter path. Sure, you got to spot properly. If you have a spotter, even better. Now put it in neutral, go back to rear wheel drive. You can turn hill descent control off and you're good to go. The suspension of the Jimny is so compliant that there is a strong temptation to pick up the pace. But the last thing you want in such cold temperatures is to step out of the car and fix a flat tire. And that wraps up part 5 of our ABC of off-roading series. Hope this video inspires you to drive up to these mountain passes even in the winter months in your vehicle and enjoy such mesmerizing landscapes. In part 6, we teach you how to drive on snow and ice, how to use snow chains, how to tackle slippery mountainous conditions. So see you next time.